I'm Coach Brady. We're starting off with 3-4 defense. Why do we run this system? Why have we brought it to our program, to our kids, and why do we believe in it? So I'm going to run through a few things here to kind of share with you how we came up with our system, what we do here, okay? All right, why run the 3-4? Number one is gap sound. We want to be sound in what we do. We want to be able to attack the offense, let our kids play hard, play fast, play smart. And so we're always going to be gap sound in our defense. What we do a few things. We're going to two gap, but it's not what we do for make a living, right? 98% of the time, we're going to be gap sound. Everybody has a gap. Everybody has a job to do. Do your job first, then rally to the football. Okay. It also allows our guys to do some different movements and stunts. We're moving a lot on defense. We're not just lining up in one spot. We're a moving target, which I think can help out our kids a lot in making plays. So when looking at a defense for your program, I kind of came up with 6 things I think are really important to think about as a staff. And you as the head coach obviously got to make a decision where you want to go in the future. This isn't a decision for one season. This is a 3, 6, 10-year decision you're making today. What scheme you want to run. The scheme is important, obviously. I think there's a lot of other things that matter as well. But I'm going to talk about the 3-4 today and how I feel it matches these 6 things. We're going to run through all 6. Versatility, staff knowledge and experience, bread and butter of our program defensively, the roster fit, opponent's preparation for us, and then keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle. Okay, so let's get going. The first one, versatility, all right? I think it allows us to give the offense a lot of different looks, okay? The 3-4, obviously you're going to get an odd front. That causes O-line coaches already to start to get a little nervous. And that's what we want. We want them to be nervous about playing against us, as a prep during the season. All right, we can adjust based on personnel from year to year. I think that's important no matter what system you choose. You want to make sure it's something where you can change up each year depending on what your strengths are. If we have a lot of really good interior D linemen, we feel good about the system and how we're going to run it, but that might change some of our calls or some of our base calls. If we're really good in the secondary or that mid-level athlete, that also can affect the calls we make, the adjustments, and some of the blitzes we may run. And they can change from year to year based on the personnel and the guys we have, okay? Or injuries, right? And that gets into this one. From week to week, we can adjust, right? Depending on who we play. We can be more aggressive, less aggressive. I think the biggest thing is, we're an attacking type defense. We're going to teach that first. But we also have the ability to sit and react to what the offense is doing. So if we're playing an option team or a big zone run team, zone read team, we have the ability, we can kind of change that technique a little bit. We're going to react to what we see. We're still gap sound. Gaps don't change. Just there's a little more in the attack of what we're doing with our players and the technique as far as that goes. And the last one, from year to year, I touched on it already, but from year to year, we can use our best skill sets for that season and put our kids in position to make plays. At the end of the day, that's our job as coaches. Our job is to get our kids in position to make plays, feel good about what they're doing, and play fast. So that's where it goes for us. All right, so you talk about staff knowledge and experience. Does it really matter? I don't think so. I don't think it matters at all what your staff experience is as far as with the 3-4. Okay? I've had guys that have been in it their whole career, 20, 25 years. I've had guys that never coached it. They coached the 4-3 or the 4-4. I think a lot of this schematic stuff crosses over. What I think is more important, number one, is if they coach it is great, okay, but it's definitely not necessary. Number 2 is the staff meetings. This is where I want to get to. The insertion and the teaching. How are we implementing this defense? That's what's important to me. Not so much if a coach has been in the system before or not. Doesn't matter to me. Even for a first-year coach, first-time coach and just got done playing, or maybe took a break, maybe never played football. They just wanted to get involved in the program. And some of the best coaches I've had, that was their background. They didn't play football. They always liked the sport. They have a favorite team. We get them involved, and it doesn't matter what their past knowledge is. We're going to get together in a room. We're going to sit down. We're going to draw it up on the board. We're going to talk about it, and how are we going to teach this to the kids? Because all coaching is teaching, right? So I think that's more important than our experience in a scheme is our experience in teaching and dealing with young men. I think that's the most important thing here is what I'm trying to get to, okay? A glossary of terms. So I'm going to add that into, this will be part of the series. We'll have a glossary to go over some of the stuff we use here. But as far as the cohesion for our defense, for your whole program, you want to be talking the same language. And that starts from the lowest level you have. For our program, we only start in 9th grade. So once a kid gets here in 9th grade, we're using the same words with that kid for all 4 years. Then the idea is by the time you're a junior in high school, you should be playing at college level with college acumen. And that's why we don't have a glossary of terms. What does that mean in simplest form? It means if I'm the D-line coach and I'm calling a movement from A gap to B gap a lateral lead, and somebody else is calling it a spike, that's not good, right? That's two different words. We want to, as best as possible, use the same language that means the same thing throughout our program. So that way you don't have changes over time. So what I mean by that is, for example, say you play freshman football and the freshman coach has his own offense, his own defense, has his own little calls. Then you come up and play JV and all of a sudden it's a whole new world and a whole new language. We don't want that. We don't have to relearn things. We want it to be the same the whole way through. So I think that's very important with your glossary and the words you use. Okay? The last thing too is getting back to knowledge and experience. Okay? It's about what our kids know, but also we can get better as coaches. What are other programs doing that run the same system as us? Okay? How are they coaching it? How are they teaching it? How are they working together as a staff to build that rapport, and also build that football acumen within their program. So I think that's a great way for us to learn. So if you go to the clinics, right, that's when you want to make sure that you're talking to other coaches about these things. How do you teach, right? How do you implement it? We use a player manual for each position. We talk about it as a staff. We always watch film, with our kids, and we go through all those progressions. And that's important, is how we're going to teach it. I think way more important than the actual experience in the system is our experience of how we're going to teach, how we're going to get this to the kids. Because at the end of the day, it's what they know. It's not what we know as coaches, what the players know on the field and how comfortable they are in the system. It's going to give us success, okay, going forward. All right, so moving on, the bread and butter. So I do believe on both sides of the football, we got to be good at something, right? We have to establish a base defense and a base offense. So on offense for us, that's going to be running power. On defense, we're going to be really good at our base. So we can line up in Okie. And what's great about that is no matter what we see, we feel comfortable in that front and that coverage to play against whatever we see on offense. It's kind of our saving grace. Here's just a quick look at it, okay? So you're going to see how we line up, and we'll go over this later as we get into some of the other sessions here about the 3-4, how we run it here, if you want to implement what we're doing. But basically, we have our Sam, okay, our one outside linebacker. We have our end, our free, and our Mike, okay? Our nose is going to be, on the center, obviously, in a 0. We have our end. He'll change his alignments based on the call. They'll either be head up on the tackle, inside eye, or outside. Here he's in a wide 5 because of the situation we're in. Okay, they're in 2x2. But these guys will always travel together, the Mike, the end, the Sam, and our free. And then on the backside, we have our D tackle, who's also same as the end on the backside. He goes away from the call with our Jack, who's our outside backer to the weak side, our Willie, other inside backer, and our Rover. We have 2 corners. We'll have a field corner, as you can see, and a boundary corner. Usually put our best corner into the boundary in high school football because it's such a short area, and most of the game is played on the hash in high school. So teams want to throw the ball on the short side of the field as far as that goes. So that's a base look. We always want to have 2 high safeties. You can see the 2 safeties are high, showing that 2 high look, and we'll move from there. Okay, that's our base 3-4 look. So bread and butter, okay? We believe in this because we can play this look against any offense, any personnel group, any formation. They come out in some exotic formation. It's unbalanced, or, they got tackles on the hashes and the balls in the middle. Like anything we might see, all our kids have to do is go back to, okay, let's go to base, check Okie. Now, what are my rules? If I'm the defensive tackle, I line up on the second guy from the center. Well, where is he at? Okay, he might be on the hash. That's where I line up. So it allows us to, no matter what we see from the offense, we can get lined up and play football. Also, in a simpler form, we're going to play this more than anything else we do. Okay, so that if we're having trouble in a game, the worst thing we can do is start trying to throw out crazy blitzes or try and do something we haven't done. Get back to playing base. We've played that more than anything else. That's our best chance to have success, okay? We got to believe in this call. And how you'll know that is when your kids start asking you to play base in crucial situations. It's the end of the half, it's 3rd and 5, you got to get them stopped, get the ball back, try and score, and they say, Coach, play base. Or it's, 4th quarter, okay, Coach, just play base this drive. That's when you know the kids have bought into what you're doing in your system because they believe in it and they're asking to run it. That's a really big deal to me as a coach. And they have to have success. But success comes from constantly beating into them. It's what we run the most. They can play it fastest. Like all the other stuff we do is build off this base call of how we're gonna get started, okay? They know their rules, right? And knowing your rules and getting your eyes used to seeing your key and reacting to that key allows you to play fast. And then to do the things we ask you to do. Play fast, be physical, have fun, enjoy the game. If you're out there thinking, you're not gonna play as fast, you're not gonna be as active. We're trying to eliminate that part, that thinking part of the game from our kids. Of course, when you first put the system in, they're gonna be thinking. Freshmen are gonna be thinking, okay? But the goal again is by year 3, that junior and senior year of football for a kid in our program, they should be flying around having a lot of success, which also helps them get recruited, which is on everybody's mind at some point about where they're gonna play, okay? And when they believe they're gonna be successful, I think that's something I've seen over the years. When our kids believe in what we're doing, they definitely play better, they improve, and again, they get recruited higher, which is important. Okay, so that's the bread and butter stuff for our program, and I think that's something, we gotta hang our hat on something that's gonna be successful for us. Okay, roster and fit for your program. And, it's an age-old question. Do we have the personnel to run this defense? I think you do. Right? I think the personnel is what you make of it. So you take your roster. I think this defense allows you to be versatile. Now you can put some athletic guys that aren't as big at your D tackle and D end spot. All right, if you don't have a lot of big guys, because we're going to be moving anyways. We're not lining up, in a 4-4 or a 4-3 and saying here we are, okay, and come block us. We're going to be moving every snap. We're going to be aggressive with it. I think that allows us to move our personnel around and allows us to run it every year. Okay. The personnel, I don't think it matters, except that we want to put the right guys in the right spots to have success. And like I said before, depending on who our guys are, where our speed, our size, and not at the end of the day, where our talent is. Who are the guys that can make plays for us? How do we put them in position to make those plays? I don't think you need a 300-pound nose guard to run this defense. You can run it with a 180-pound nose guard. It's just going to change a little bit of some of the calls we're going to make, and we can talk about that later, how we're going to run the system each year. And even from week to week, that could change. All right, so roster development. Okay, we're going to teach our kids from day 1 in the program. So when this system goes in, they're getting it from day 1. They're getting coached hard. They're going to get the player manual. They're going to get all the stuff they need to have success. It's going to take time. It's like anything else. It's going to take time. I think it takes 3 years to be really good at anything. So it's going to take time for them to learn what they're doing and the progression as far as we coach it. All right, 3 years to master a system, like I just said. But we're going to ingrain that in the kids, and we're not going to hold back. I think that's something important for you when you're watching film with your kids, when you have your meetings. Anytime you have the talk with the kids, it's important to not hold back on them. Go through everything. Now we start from the beginning like they don't know anything at all, like they're from Mars, okay? And teach them as detailed as possible, because kids will not tell you when they don't know, right? They'll sit there, act like they know, and then not know a thing you're talking about, all right? So we got to actually get that into them. Give them tests if you have to. Ask them questions that find out if they really do understand what you're saying. But once it starts to click, it's kind of like algebra or calculus. Light's going to go on, and they're going to play really fast and really love the defense, okay? We want our kids to believe in us. To do that, we got to coach them hard. Like I said, we got to ingrain in them the system, what we're doing. What is your key? What's your reaction? We got to be good at our base. Once we're good at our base, then we can do all the other stuff. It's fun too. We got to be good at what we do, what we hang our hat on. Okay. College acumen. That's the knowledge you have as a player, right? How much football knowledge do you have? Do you understand if they're in 2 backs and 21 personnel, 2 backs and 1 tight end? That's going to be a running situation. If you understand 11 personnel, 10 personnel, the situation of the game, where the ball is on the field, the yard line, all these extra things we can do if we can get our kids to understand the base defense and that. Another part to that too, for acumen, is going to be, what's the guy next to me doing? Okay, if I'm the Mike linebacker, I got to understand what the D-line's doing in front of me, where they're fitting. Helps me understand where my job is, where I fit. Okay, that's very important in the process, again, of growing to play at a college level. Because college coaches will see that. They'll see that guys understand the scheme and what you're doing and where they're fitting. It's not about making 100 tackles. Sometimes it's about making 50 tackles, but being right on the other plays of how you fit to let other guys make plays. So I think that's all part of our development with our roster, and that starts from day 1. All right, opponent preparation. Okay, we want to force them to prepare for lots of looks and blitzes. Okay, it gets back to what simple as possible for us, but really make them work a lot during the week. We hope they're drawing lots of cards as they prepare for us, and if the O-line coach is nervous, that's a good thing. It's only going to help us. On the other side of that, we want to be positive with our kids. We're playing a great offensive team, and we got to stop them. We're going to say, yeah, they got talent and they make plays, but we have ways to stop it. And rather than being so concerned about it, I think that's one thing you as a coach got to do is how we approach the situation, okay, and build confidence in our own kids and how we're going to attack them, okay. We have the ability to give different coverages from the same pre-snap alignment. That's really important. We can run some of our blitzes and run 3 or 4 different coverages behind it. In our base, we can give them that base too high look, but there's multiple coverages we can run out of that. That really helps us against the really good throwing teams to give the quarterback a different look once in a while. Sure, we're going to have our base. We're going to do things pretty consistently to be good at it. They're going to have their beaters for those, for our base coverage, but we also have the ability to change it up, to really put some pressure on their quarterback and make him think, make him hold the ball a little bit longer than normal, which helps us to have success, obviously. And it's easy to change for us. The thing about the 3-4, it's great, is it's balanced defense. You have 2 outside backers, 2 inside backers, and we can change those blitzes up every week. We don't do a lot of it, but we'll minimally change up some of the things we do to give different gaps, different looks, trying to attack the protection of the offense, whenever you might see a weakness, whether it's a weakness in their protection or a weakness in one of their players. You want to attack that guy. We're always trying to get our best athletes on their weaker athletes. I think it's about matchups as well. But I think the 3-4 really allows you to do that because of the way the scheme is set up and how we coach it. All right, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle. Everybody uses that, okay? The biggest thing is going to be easy for us in this defense. It looks like we're doing lots and lots of stuff, and people are like, how are you doing so much? It really isn't that hard. It comes down to how we make our calls. We have 4 parts to our call, which I'll go over it a little bit later in another segment. But the coaches, we control that. Make it simple for our guys, but allow us to give multiple looks to the offense, but all our guys are doing is follow on the pattern, right, and follow on their rules. I think that's really important as we want our guys to grow. Blitz can run from different coverages behind them. So I mentioned that before. But again, this adds to us being simple. Okay? We teach 4 coverages. That's our defense. But we can run all of our blitzes with those coverages behind it. Okay? For the most part. So I think that's something that really can be helpful to us keeping the KISS principle for our guys. All right? Pre-snap movements. This puts pressure on the O-line, the quarterbacks, and the entire offense, even the offensive coordinator. If we're moving pre-snap, again, simple for us, not hard, okay? That's going to cause them to have to check their call, change a blocking, whatever. Any way we can kind of disrupt what they're doing and force them to think a little bit. Again, that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to be thinking on defense. We don't want our kids to go out, be able to play fast, react to their key, know what they're doing. All right, so we look back at what we talked about today. Versatility, okay, I think is a very versatile defense that allows us to really grow with our players and change from week to week or season to season. The staff knowledge and experience, again, it's not so much about the experience in the defense for me as it is in how we're going to coach it together as a group and be cohesive. Bread and butter, it's a staple for us. It's what we're going to hang our hat on. I think if you're going to run this defense, you got to be able to say this is what we're going to do. And we believe in it, and we're going to stay with it. And when it's a crucial time in the game, I got to be okay with running it. Can't be afraid. That's a big deal. Just like on offense, on 4th and short, what are you going to run? If you're running power, you're going to run power. They know it's coming. They still got to stop it. Roster fit, I think it's easy to, because of, high school rosters are constantly changing from year to year. I think it's easy for us to adapt as far as that goes. Opponents prep, in the history, what I feel like is, teams really struggle preparing for us. They don't like playing us. That's a good thing. You want teams to not want to play you because you give them so many different looks and you put them in some binds. That's a good thing. And that's for all parts of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. We want to put pressure on them in every phase of the game. And obviously, as a defensive coordinator, we definitely want to be able to do that to an offense. And the last thing, KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. All right, to end, finish this up before we move on to the next one. Again, why we run the 3-4? For us, it's schematically sound. It is. We have every gap taken. We're going to work through all that with the kids, but it's pretty easy for our guys to learn what they're doing, but it also gives us multiple ways to align and attack an offense. We can really get after them and force them to make mistakes. At the end of the day, we want to turn the ball over. We want ball disruption. We want to have fun on defense, And you do that by putting pressure on the offense, forcing them to do things they're not used to doing, take away their best player as best we can. But at the end of the day, it's going to be sound for us and easy for our kids to run.